So we have all the tubes run, and now it's time to put the dampers inside of the registers. You can see that the tube is coming out of the supply grill. And the first thing I normally do is I trim this to an even service length, about 6 to 8 inches outside of the register. So just cut off the excess, right? Then you take the inflatable damper. I normally try to squish it down so that it's going to be easier to push back in, and I put it on the tube. Just take the nozzle here, shove it in about 1/2 inch on the tube. Now we don't ever want this to come out, so what we do is we use a stapler, an anvil type, and we put a staple right through it. You want to get a close-up on this to see what it looks like?
I've zoomed in.
All right. So our next step is to take some of this 22 gauge Simpson strong tie, take about 2 feet or so out of the coil, cut it off, I straighten it out a little bit just so it'll be easier to feed inside the duct, and I make a little notch right at the end so it can wrap around the tube. I then feed that little notch through the first tab, and then the second tab, and you can see here you want to be at least 2 inches away from the end of the nozzle, right? But before I attach it, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of regular old electrical tape and wrap it around the nozzle. The nozzle should be self-sealing because it's tapered, but if you squish the staple too much, it ovals it out and it could hiss and it could give you a callback. So I just kind of wrap, a couple wraps around. Then I'm going to grab myself about 4 inches of tape, and these are going to be applied in 3 areas. 2 to the mounting tab, so I stretch the damper out a little bit, put 1 on the first mounting tab, feed it back out so it won't bunch up when it inflates. Put another one on the rear mounting tab. And then what I'm going to do is take the little notch that we made in the metal strap and bend it around and give it a little tug. You shouldn't be able to move the tube with about 5 pounds of force, but you do need to remember not to squish it too much because you can kink this tube, and if it's kinked, it's not going to inflate or deflate. After that's done, I take the third piece of tape and I put it around the end to make sure that if you're going into flexible duct, you won't pierce the inner membrane. So then I gingerly install, and at this point you would just put screws into the metal strapping to hold it in place. Heavy screws.